Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. That's a Rumi quatrain, number 82, I believe. Yes. I think it just sort of speaks to the idea that we're trying to bring out today in our event, our contribution to 100,000 Poets for Social Change, which is a global event where all over the world, different communities and people are organizing poetry readings with the idea that poetry can bring about some kind of positive social and political influence in the world. And I believe that any art in a community, whether it's specifically politically driven or socially driven art, just any art at all, is going to bring about some sort of social positive change. And just people coming together to do art and to make art and to talk about art is a way of healing and bringing together people. And I think that that short poem really speaks to that. So it's our way of all coming together to let the love be what we do. And so, yeah, welcome everyone to this event. And there's going to be a bunch of really great poets reading today, so definitely stick around. There's some refreshments in the back. We've got some fresh Vermont apples and apple cider that I picked up at the farmer's market today, and some cheese and crackers. So, yeah, without further ado, we're going to begin this poetry extravaganza with a song from Addison Rice. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so this song, how's that sound? This song's about heaven, but not in the, biblical sense, but like, more like the divine nature that we all have within ourselves, and kind of about, a world in which we're all in touch with that. So yeah.
Well, the thread that holds together our world has started to unwind. For this tapestry of reality was woven by the blind. But behind that curtain stands a canvas meant for us to find. For the time has come to paint ourselves in heaven. Cause I've seen too many souls, what am I saying? Cause I've seen too many souls portray the role they claim God wrote in a book. And forget that pens are wielded by men, and poets can also be crooks. Then they believe there be but one way to see and fear what it means to look. But wonder will be the only creed of heaven. And I've seen too many souls wear thin their skin for the grin of a grim paper face that they worship like some saint. God whose whim dictates their fates. Then as starving snakes chase racing rats, desperation sets the pace. But compassion will be the currency of heaven. And I've seen too many souls adhere to rules declared by fools that are gone, and with hollow brain maintain the crooked line that divides right and wrong. Then they curse the night for hiding the light and close their eyes at dawn. But truth and love will be the laws of heaven. And I've seen too many souls thrash and flail in the veil that covers their eyes, while they fail to drink from the grail of love and see only the things they despise. But a master paints with many a color if the dream is to be realized. For human can be the only hue of heaven. Search for grace and must forsake the truth they hold so dear. For wisdom is to forget the reflection and gaze upon the mirror. And when our vision becomes clear, we'll see heaven.
Way to lead us in, and now we're going to launch right into just a ton of poetry, and it's going to be awesome. And everyone should be really excited because all of this poetry is just fantastic, and it's all going to be in the same space, one after another. It's going to be really barraged with words that are beautiful. So I want to thank Right Action for helping to organize and fund and make this event happen. They're a great organization in Brattleboro that makes all sorts of cool writing stuff happen. One of the most exciting of which is the Brattleboro Literary Festival, which is coming up right in October. What is the dates?
12th through the 14th.
The 12th through the 14th of October. There are amazing writers coming to town. There's amazing events and workshops being held. So if you have questions about that, you should ask Arlene Dissler, who is great and is here and works with Right Action. And yeah. So that will be really cool coming up. And so yeah, my name is Jenna Rose Nethercott. I am a local poet, and I was asked by Right Action to help organize this event. And yeah, that's me. I realized I hadn't introduced myself, so I should stick that in there. Anyways, thanks. So, without further ado, our first poet this afternoon, is Elizabeth West.
Hi, I have to start by saying that I love that we opened with Rumi, who is my favorite poet. At this point in my life, that's what say it.
Oh, Susan Ryan.
Okay, is that a little better? Okay, good. As I was throwing together, thank you. As I was throwing together my poems this morning, some of which I knew I was going to read and some of which I didn't, I realized that I came up with a common theme of loneliness and connection, and I kind of put them in order. Some are little snippets, and I'll stop in between. Some just don't have titles, and I'll just be stopping in between. The first is this little reading here. We're all as good as we think we are. I know I am. Something to think about. I am picking up the loose ends of my child at Gateway, taking the 13-year-old severed threads and twisting them slowly and securely into a small but durable circumference, a rope that I can use to support me while I tunnel into unexplored new stages of myself. Written in 1980. Gateway. I can imagine that in some other world, sitting with your legs hung over the arm of a chair would be labeled as slovenly, childish, sexually suggestive, just plain repulsive for a woman of 25. But here in this world, if a chair fits uncomfortably, and I notice, I can sit the way my body wants to fit. And there, where tied back, soggy, wet hair has no place, does not have me, happily, in 1980. And then a small question as I change a little bit that I found among my writing. Does every action in life hope to have an equal and opposite appropriate reaction? The struggle to be unique, lips curl in a smile, when realization hits always that we all seem to be unique together. There is nothing so unique that another has not tread there before. Even the collective consciousness that brings the miracles of learning from the deepest and most the deepest and most remote sanctuaries of the planet seem to unite at the same moments in history. Listen, is it the nightingale that chirps the different but similar song that keeps the Orient and Occident connected in its distance? All the men I meet are from money, whether in sophisticated jeans, in New Hampshire duds, or homeless in thriftless seconds. I'm in neither blue blood nor hand-me-down. I'm third generation self-made woman, born of the soil, toil, not brought up as a daughter of wealth, educated to be a wife of the, not brought up as a daughter of wealth, educated to be the wife of a sophisticated man. I'm the daughter, third generation of European Americans, not of Mayflower blood, but of a German immigrant girl who had come over to America alone on a ship, who came to the United States and made her way as a washerwoman and seamstress until she wed, bore a child, and then toiled as devoted wife and mother, not as a sophisticated of a Boston Brahmin. I'm a Brahmin queen, disenfranchised Hindu, daughter of Buddha, westernized, average, a non-unique American, no blood to distinguish me as repulsive Jew or of regal British lineage. Leave me out of your hysterical, historical society of keen New England and keep me alive as the being I am, as gracious and beautiful as anyone else who has ever existed on this earth. A little more. Sometimes loneliness is so pervasive that when the sky is sunny and your lips curl upward in a smile and you share a small laugh with a friend, There is one instant when the deep loneliness floods in, and there is no view, and your eyes do see again and begin to notice the afternoon passing into twilight, and the anachromatic clouds in the setting sun sky accompany you on your trip home as you return to your doorstep, and your cat automatically takes to occupation of your empty lap. In loneliness, we make others into reflections of what we want, rather than seeing who they really are. I travel among lonely souls, and in my loneliness, too. Someone, please hold my hand for just a moment, or an hour, or a night, or perhaps the day after. I know that even if my hand connects a bond of love, that of soul to soul, there will be a time it must end. So even for just a moment, just this moment, hold my hand. This is the poem that I really came here to read. It's called Remembering Who I Am. When I see you walking along the path towards me, whether I see your beautiful diamond-studded frock or your rags covered by the soil of earth, whether your body is slim and firm, round and roly-poly, emaciated from lack of food, maybe from using your money for weed or to feed your children first, whether the ribbon in your hair adds color to your cheekbones or is a hemp cord to keep your dreadlocks from covering your eyes, whether you stride with pride, limp with pain, or just meander aimlessly side to side along the path, whether I look into your eyes and see the glow of warmth and joy, or the accumulation of water moving towards a tear, or just to soothe a past dry eye from irritation or medication, whether you look back at me when I look at you, or whether I return your look if you seek my eyes first, I will always remember we are both doing the same thing, you and me. We are both trying to survive in this world the best we can manage. No matter how we pass each other on our walks along our paths, I will remember you are me. Credo. I believe if there is any truth to this universe, two snowflakes exactly alike will at some time fall to earth.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was lovely. And next up is another Elizabeth, Elizabeth Kroll. Please welcome her to the stage. And if we can try and clap our poets all the way to the mic, that would be awesome.
Thank you very much. Am I positioned all right? No. Closer?
Oh, closer.
Better?
Yeah, there you go.
My husband and I are new to Brattleboro. We've been here about a month, and we're really enjoying it. We find you a very rich community, and we're very pleased to be here. I'd like to read a poem called Invitation to Yes. I'm a shy person, so this is the part that's tough for me, and I have a cold, but I'll do my best.
Please use the mic.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on. Just speak right into it.
Closer?
Yeah, here, hold on.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. In these constricted days, months, years, times, reduced to the lean and mean, skeleton staffing, exhausted benefits, layoffs, cutbacks, recession, negation, stagnation, rationalization, predation, starvation, and desperation. Say yes to someone in need today who crosses your path. Resist the routine, no. In these days of computation, of confiscation, of incorporation, obfuscation, indoctrination, dislocation, violation, and tribulation, Resist the no. Resist, I'm too busy. I'm too tired. I'm late for the gym. I'm headed for the market. I have work to do. Take some trouble. Make time. Make time to proffer a connection to someone who needs help. Who needs help right now. Right now, if there is someone with empty eyes, someone with a burden you can lift, take 5. Take 5 to work past no. Say yes to an unfamiliar face, yes to a withheld request. Say yes to the plea leaking through some foundering soul. Of course, it's easy to say yes. It's very easy to say yes, yes, yes to your child, your spouse, parent, sibling, cousin, neighbor, boss, coworker, friend. But in defeated times, with inordinate schedules, it's hard to halt. It's inconvenient to pause and open to an acquaintance, stranger, mere unknown element. Don't say no, though. Resist the impulse to pass. Don't say maybe. Don't say if it's convenient. Don't say if it's reciprocal. Don't say if it's to my advantage. Don't say if there's time left over. Bypass the expedient no to the vibrant yes. Today, you have the chance to say yes to someone to whom yes can make a difference. Someone you know, don't know, or barely know. Take that chance. You have the power, a genie's power, each day to summon a transformation out of a void. Today, you respond to me, or to someone like me. Tomorrow, it may be to a stranger, or perhaps instead, I'll respond to you as life adjusts its permutations. The thanks, the acknowledgement, is in the small spark you create, the fire you kindle from a stone in a hard place, with kindling that seems sodden and dead to the negligent eye. The gift is in melting frozen immobility to restore the currents of aspiration and opportunity. Remember famous Mother Teresa who performed wonders every day? You also can raise confidence from the grave and relieve suffering. Even if service is not your life's vocation, you too can work miracles. You can be like Joe Maneri, charismatic composer and teacher at the New England Conservatory, who opened his heart, dispensing love and hope to all, student and stranger alike. You can be like my husband, the underemployed professor, who, though combating hardship every day himself, takes on the role of spiritual coach and would-be healer for a longtime Boston friend, now battling cancer daily. Or you can be like a royal diner with a heart as well as a till, offering sustenance and affirmation to a pair of straitened newcomers. You can be like generous companions in reform who treat a member on a meager budget to coffee after a frosty winter afternoon of outreach. Or like a community that gives an organic farmer support and a helping hand to survive the bureaucratic distractions spawned by an invasion of his livelihood. But you don't need to be Teresa or Joe or my husband or the diner or the reformers to engender a change, a breakthrough, a message of humanity. To be a hero for a lifetime, a day, or an hour, you just need to be you. What can you prevent? A job hunter with no leads, a family without an address, a teen on the road to suicide, an elder trapped alone, a pregnant minor with dead dreams. What can you enable? A person winning a livelihood, a family regaining a home, a teen rediscovering hope in himself and in the world, an elder talking with someone who cares to listen, a young woman seeing that her life still has paths to shape. Say yes to a connected world, a restored world, a sharing world, of which you can say, behold, it is good to create possibilities that launched will reach some range of opportunity. So slow down, make time, stand not upon your fixed stations, but accelerate potentiality for all your relations. Even if you own nothing, you have something to give. You can create another world for someone to share. Seize the opportunity to reach past confounding no and welcome fertile, incandescent yes.
Next up, please welcome Jesse de la Raza.
I wonder if anybody saw the movie Buck, who was the original horse whisperer and inspired the Robert Redford film. It's called Born to Run. I can perform, but I prefer to be quiet. I rely on my senses to do anything. Instinct is what I trust, and it defines me, even when I do not know what my senses are warning me about. I have no trainer beside me to spell out the directions. For me to be clear about things, I need to have trust and comfort, some kind of confidence. That is why I may bristle when someone tries to lead. They must have enough skill to be trusted, enough heart to be a comfort. Open that gate and allow me to walk easily without fear. My instincts call for questioning, whether the path is tricky or the weather is changing. They say this is intelligent. I don't know. It's causing me to worry. Instincts have a substitute for knowledge, and it is better to follow your senses and be alert to keep moving. When I need to guess, maybe it's better to slow down. I am more likely to run. So when I feel that I'm being pushed or calmed, I will resist. Like so many others, I've been mistreated before. I've seen many people claim to be gentle, smart, or strong. I do not feel treated well by people who claim. I prefer people who don't know so much, but are quiet and slow. Knowledge is gentle. Smart people think they're gentle too, but they're too scared to be gentle. This is interpreted by a piece by Tom Hayden a year ago in June. In today's piece. For me, the criterion for success in social movements is whether the participants are learning the arts of conflict resolution, political jujitsu, including the ability to understand what an adversary needs to exit an untenable situation. The voice of negativity and alienation is infecting the discourse with unwarranted cynicism, undermining any sense of strategy. They say, the speech was a disappointment, inadequate. We must not stoop to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Friends, and may I say comrades, do not disparage what his efforts have achieved. Don't be surprised that the gains we achieve are always less than we demand. Don't forget that we are up against the institutional might of a superpower. Instead, dwell on this simple fact. We, the people, push them back. Then study and discuss the way we go from here. Revolution Revolutionaries have to fight step by step until revolutions come by surprise. Institutions remain impermeable until they fall apart. We could be approaching such a moment, but only if we push, if we organize, and prepare. No one up there will credit the peace movement for anything until someday in the future we learn that they were scared to death of us. We alone have the power to take heart from our impact or fall into further despair. Despair never organized anyone. Gratitude for the dark. Lucifer has disappeared into the light that still pervades the sky. To some, too difficult to disbelieve, the keeper of the dark energy was dedicated to teaching you all as he held the anchor for your experience. The paradoxes of freedom, such as choice. Would you have been motivated to break away without him? Yes, many languish in inertia rather than wickedness. They suffer without knowing love. How is it that sense of separation is other than an orphan's alienation? On the dark path, the lessons still come with need for duality. Their journey is incomplete, still blinded by division. There is an essential element in that. Opposition is simply an aspect of the overall fluctuations in dualism. Lift the veil, and you see there is no need for the choices. Polarities don't exist. There is no need for the illusions that keep insisting you negotiate your shaky sense of balance. No thoughts of either or. No destructive impulses. No crisis of faith. No bended knee. No wide-eyed fancy. No more motivation for hope. The prayers cry out, will we leave the earth? Time is running out. To begin with, the earth is also an ascending celestial body. You will still be earth-centered in the higher dimension. In essence, you will not leave Gaia, you will mutate with her. You will see what you haven't seen, and that will alter the physical. Dedication to her harmony develops your experience, yes? And children will be born of your children's union, the new Earth Keepers. This is by Carolyn Forche. It's called Morning on the Island. The lights across the water are the waking city. The water shimmers with imaginary fish. Not far from here lie the bones of conifers, washed from the sea, just piled by the wind. Some mornings I walk upon them, bone to bone, as far as the lighthouse. A strange beetle has eaten most of the trees. It may have come here on the ships, playing music in the harbor, or it was always here, a winged jewel, but in the past was kept still by the cold of a winter that no longer comes. There is an owl living in the firs behind us, but he is white, meant to be mistaken for snow burdening above. They say he is the only owl remaining. I hear him at night, listening for the last of the mice, and asking who of no other owl. The Quaker. Wouldn't you agree that we cannot create a better past? You are far more likely to understand me through goodwill and patience. I do not want to tangle with the past. If we are going to hold on to less than our hopes, how can we wind up with more than our fears? Come now, let us go and find each other. There is enough reason to improve the kindness, and I hope we can be that generous.
So your next reader I actually had as an English teacher when I was probably about 13. So it's now my pleasure to be able to welcome him up to share his own writing with you. Please join me in welcoming Stuart Strothman.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much, Jenna. Very pleased to be here at this event. Very much enjoying seeing all of you and having interested listeners to poetry and to literature. I was tempted today to read from my new novel, which is called Sackett, an historical novel which tells the story of an abduction, and for those of you who know Putney, it gives an explanation for Sackett's Brook, how it got its name, which very few people actually know. However, the theme today is poetry, and so I sat down at lunch and decided to write a sestina about Sackett. Sestinas, as some of you may know, are poems in which it's essentially a 7-stanza poem. There are 6 words that you choose, and you rearrange the words at the end of each line in each stanza in a particular pattern. And if you're old-fashioned, it's in iambic pentameter. Now, the title of the poem is the Abenaki name of Greylock, whom some of you may have heard of. He's the abductor in the story, originally from Westfield, Massachusetts, Awaronoke. The tallest mountain in Massachusetts is named after him. And in Abenaki, his name means he who fools others easily, or puts them off the track. Wawanolawat. The Waronoke who stole through shadowed chestnut approached the cabin. Stealthy, painted faces whooped and hooted, drew men out to chase like geese and speak their flintlock. Glinting wicked gold flashed and cracked above the walls of granite, schist and soapstone, the guts of ancient Dawnland. With hours before the light of morning Dawnland revealed the silhouette of outcropped Berkshire granite, showed the landscape's truth with beams of gold. Safe inside behind the bedstead, oak and chestnut did their best with quilts of wild geese to hide Elizabeth, her frightened face. The door flew back. A chiseled, angry face seemed carved in mica-speckled granite. Red and black, a widow's peak of Dawnland gray. The sisters held their knives of gold or brass and flapped like frightened geese to scare the man, return him to the chestnut. He strode right past, upon the chestnut floor, and took the smallest girl, her heart of gold, his own of hardest tempered granite, beat together in the night of Dawnland. Vanishing, the shadows hid their double face, pursued by Sackett's screams, the rattled geese. The winding path a blur, like migratory geese they bounced into the heart of Beaver Dawnland. They slept at Greylock's cave, the mountain granite cold, and water wandered, pooling through the chestnut roots that drank its clean and shimmering face and sprouted nuts and leaves of autumn gold. And after so much death, disease, the precious gold of captive children, torn from British Dawnland, the ancient beds of Abenaki granite, beneath the massacre of pine and chestnut, the habitat of game, the forest's face destroyed, like falling flocks of grape-shot geese. And Betsy Sackett's face turned to the eastern Dawnland. Her family's chestnut faces raided Deerfield gold and chased its men like geese among the granite.
Thank you.
So next up, we'll be re-welcoming again Addison Rice, who offered your musical introduction, and he's going to be offering some poems for you now.
Thank you. It's funny how much more nerve-wracking it is to not have an instrument. All right, let's see. Well, I'd been alive for 20 years on the day that I was born, when I saw the world in the new light on an iridescent morn. I looked up at an angel from the shadow of her wings, and though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. Her hair was made of rainbows, and her eyes were golden green. Her beauty was as true as any flowers I had seen. On my eyes she bestowed a kiss, though my lips were beckoning. And though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. She made me drink of the well beneath the giving tree, and put me in a glass boat to sail the cosmic sea. As I gazed below, I saw wonder, all-encompassing. And though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. Into my heart she stabbed a shard of Apollo's sunlit gold, and as I wept, I knew the moral of every story ever told. Through my tears, I clearly saw the world, and it was sickening. And though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. She sent me to the lover and his brother, Mr. Grief, and I fell into the ashes, where I found all my beliefs. She introduced me to the wild man and the sacred king, and though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. She tore away the uniform that I was made to wear, and left me cold and naked, sobbing in despair. But as her golden glow bathed my skin, my joy was my suffering, and though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. She put the mountains at my back and turned me toward the dark, and pointed to the path in which I was meant to embark. She sent me straight into the wind, though it whips and stings, and though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. She sent me stumbling blindly through the streets I'd always known. My old tracks I tried to trace, but I found my feet had grown. She turned the shackles I had carried into silver rings, and though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. So now I sculpt castles from the sands of time with the rhymes she's given me, and am reminded that every grain I see contains infinity. I don't expect to meet with her again, but I can't be sure of anything. And though she never spoke a word, she taught me how to sing. This next one is called The Answer. I've seen the plumes rise from the lake, like phantom fires fading as we wake, secret sights hidden from our systematic eyes. And I've seen the moon don her halo, tranquil as anything we know, a glimpse at magic outside what this speck of dust confines. And I've heard the harmonies of all the swaying trees, singing out with breaths of wind, a tune so heavenly. But after all these years, we've deafened our poor ears. And now when our mother calls to join her song, we can no longer hear her. And I've seen a valley of three suns, blessing as the day was done, a gift of gold worth more than any coin my hand could hold. And I've seen the castle before dawn, one with the hill it stood upon, proof that we could be a part of Mother Nature's art. And I felt the pouring rain wash away my name, the sky crying tears of life to say we're all the same. But we have come so far, We forgot what we are. Tiny pieces in a finished puzzle that we've been taking apart. So I looked at the sun, and I know I am one with every single atom that's a part of this wonder. How long will we be blind to the beauty of our lives because we're trapped in our minds? And what will it take to make us forsake our destructive ways and learn from our mistakes? And when will we cease to fight and see that maybe no one's right and stand as one in the light? And how will we come to see the truth of our reality is that we're in heaven already? The answer is love. What? Sure. Alright, I don't know how long it's going to take with no music, but I'm going to do it. Just because, Poets for Change, and it's pretty much about that. So, this one's called The Candidate. The day was torn between noon and evening. The sun rained down on the crowd. 10,000 strong, all voicing their longing and hope in one thunderous sound. The candidate stepped to the podium, and with a calm conviction he stared, and silently waited till the rabble had faded, and anticipation rose in the air. He said, I'm here to represent love. I'm a soldier of peace and truth, and every breath I take is for the sake of awakening the dawn of a new tomorrow, and this is my promise to you. For tomorrow we'll raise our children to be brave enough to stare straight through misery and see every instance as a chance to help those who hold chains to be free. And so all the sick will be cared for, the hungry fed, and the homeless shall not fear the rain. For each day, every one of us will search for a way that we can ease the collective pain. And tomorrow we'll trade our violence and war for the wisdom to understand that hatred is not but ignorant blindness to the imperfection of man. For there's not one among us who's not known joy and sorrow, whether we're yellow, red, black, brown, or white. Just like every man, woman, and child knows the touch of the sun on their skin from a cold wind at night. For too long we've lived in delusion that change must rain down from the top, when history's shown that the greatest wonders our world has known were built from the bottom up. Because no president can abolish suffering with some new law or four-year plan. No, this burden of life can be made lighter only when lifted by many hands. So let us reach together for the promised land. It's not as far away as it seems, but until we unite as one in this life, tomorrow can be but a dream. Then I awoke as the sun rose, with his words still ringing in my ears. I wiped the sleep from my eyes, and with a calm conviction, I looked at the face in the mirror and said, I'm here to represent love. I'm a soldier of peace and truth, and every breath I take is for the sake of awakening the dawn of a new tomorrow, and this is my promise to you.
So, your next reader is currently working on a really large-scale theatrical production that will be up out in the forest of Bonnievale Environmental Center in the end of this month, called The Forest of Mystery. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, or maybe in it, because it has like a huge cast. I'm in it. Yes, if that's not reason enough to go see it, I don't know what is. So anyways, he's also half of the reason that I am a person. So, please welcome up Michael Nethercutt.
Hello. It's called nepotism, people. Get over it. I don't even write poems, but she didn't know. There was a young lady. This poem is a true emotional tale from my childhood. the character who was most distinctly referenced was very obscure a while ago, but because of a certain big blockbuster film this summer, he's more well known. Though I must say he was not depicted quite as accurately as he was in the source material. Anyway. It's called The Everlasting. Regarding the bejesus, what truly scared it out of me was the concept of eternity, life perpetual, world without end, like the haunted Gothic prayer declared. As a Catholic boy tethered to a gray plaid clip-on tie, I desperately drove such heavens from my mind. A timeless afterlife was meant, no doubt, to comfort. Instead, it petrified. The nuns, draped in their long black sails, claimed we'd worship God up there, Father, Son, and ghostly bird, whichever was the first at bat. Forever, for all time, in the radiance of the Lord, our skinless souls would bask. Imagine all the spotlights on our auditorium stage multiplied 1 billion times. The math alone was staggering. But apparently, that was the deal with heaven. You dwelt in rapture on your knees before God's glowing throne. Would we even have knees up there, or private parts, or heads? Forever seemed a boredom that could surely drive you mad, even if Grandma, 3 years dead, was hiding there to greet you, or your soldier uncle, or your cat that the wild dogs mauled. They could only fill up so much time. The endlessness would still be hard to bear. All right, let worship fill the days, but what about the old delights? Lime soda, TV westerns, 12-cent comic books. Yes, what of Ant-Man, Green Lantern, The Flash? Made of only ink and pulp, it's unlikely they'd survive in the whirling vapors beyond those lustrous gates. Of all that costume crew, Hawkeye, the marksman, suited me best. Brash young master of the bow, obscure among these heroes, he garbed himself in brackish purple. Not blazing blues and reds like his fellow Avengers did. His weakness was his temper. Often he'd barely avoid being banished from the team because of his cockiness, so very much like me. Railing against the unfair, heating the blood with quarrels, constantly bucking Captain America's orders. Was there a place beyond life for the likes of us? Rash and unknown, shooting off our mouths for the sake of honor, or for imagined slights, or for no good reason whatsoever. What angel arms would welcome such agitated souls? The promise of forever seems a vast and monstrous scheme when you are small in all earthly things, in the body, in experience, in the size of your New England town. What terror it must be to breach the Godland's foggy plains, a place you've never been and from which you won't return, with no comrade at your side, no Hawkeye, sharp of arrow, big of heart, confident to the point of arrogance, who always has your back against all villains of the mind. No Hawkeye, only mighty God in his beauty so baroque, a supernova exploding with mercy and flames, which try as you might, you'll never outrun. Your core will shatter to contain that truth. Too late, you've perished into his dream. Hawkeye, Hawkeye, hear my prayer. Let fly your arrows trailing fire. Stand strong with me against God's love. Rescue me from paradise. You can wait till the end, don't worry. Save the time. Occasionally I write something I call pub. What do I call it? Pub rants, pub chants. And they're usually written in pubs. And they're either spoken or sung or babbled. Part of the trick is never to sing it the same way twice, or even on key. That's a real no-no. Oh, hey, Joe. Okay. What's a black and tan? Somebody knows. Stuart.
Why, that would be a light beer mixed with a dark beer.
Right.
A Guinness and a Guinness.
Good man. And what is it historically? Ah. That's, no, don't be saying that. The Scots won't like it. They were British troops who were sent over about 80 years ago to subdue the Irish, and they were made up of some sort of rabble elements, and they have a really bad history in Ireland. And my people way back then kind of mixed with them in unpleasant ways. So this is both black and tan. Crazy Mickey squaring off at a nice round table, squaring off against his own damn mind. Brain split in two, Cain spins with Abel. Waltz of the damned and the unrefined. Hail down the waitress with curves like valleys. Order another pint of the black and the tan. That a boy, I'm good time, Charlie. I'm Crazy Mickey, I'm Plastic Man. The black and the tans, they beat my people. Betrayed the Irish and poured their blood. Pour me another and toast my grandmother and rebel grandfather who sleeps neath the mud. Hey, hey, diddly-day, the pipes they are calling, the night it is falling, the bastards are brawling, and I'm drifting away, drifting, drifting. Wasn't there some girl with hay-colored hair, garbed in peasant elegance like a spring day at the fair? She kissed you and me, or perhaps Willie McGee, then we marched off to die in the smoke-smothered air. And I loved, and I slew, and they carried me body on home to me mother on the 23rd of June. Crazy Mickey trailing off at his nice round table. If you're down enough of these midnight ales, then life itself becomes a fable of daggers, dreams, and Viking sails. In 1916, Ireland trembled. 20 years on, Grandma left and never went back. Grandpa went back home once with his youngest Brendan and ordered a pint of the tan and the black. I'm a crazy bastard myself. Sometimes my mind's like a haunted hall, where good intentions slain by limitations rattle their chains and loudly call, hey, hey, diddly-day. The wind it is weeping, the failures are heaping, the shadows are sheeping, and I'm drifting away. Curves like far valleys, order another, just bring me another, black and tan.
In bed all day and watch Star Trek, then be mad at yourself for it days. You're going to want to drive. Pick up across the country and go for any one of those people who left you this summer without any other reason than to feel like you have somewhere to go. But it's time, baby girl, to start making choices for yourself. And not out of fear or loneliness or a lack of anything else to do, but to learn how to be the person that you really want. This is how you will learn the ins and outs of yourself. Stop looking at lines and corners. You are going to become a glowing, amorphous blob with nothing but options. My friend once told me there's a misconception about caterpillars, that they simply become butterflies while they're hanging out in those cocoons. No one likes to talk about how their bodies disintegrate first, become soupy nothing, or how absolutely terrified they must be. These are your soup days, baby girl. So bake yourself some cookies, go work on your dollhouse, build your cocoon. Resist the urge to buy ridiculous boots and leather jackets, because we both know it won't be good for your bank account. So you'll be on your own for a little while. So what? God is saying, okay, I'm really going to give you a chance to figure yourself out now. And isn't that what you've been praying for all these years? To figure out what in the world you're supposed to do with yourself? And while you're at it, learn how to be happy. I can promise you, it's going to get easier.
So thank you again to everyone who came out and read this afternoon. It was wonderful hearing from everyone. I'm going to close out the afternoon now with a few of my own poems. The death and birth of Jesse James on April 3rd. When the bullet rippled from the front of his skull to a dusty picture frame on the opposite wall, Jesse James did not die. His body wilted to the ground like a plucked and thirsty violet while his horses scuffed their hooves and rattled teeth against bit. Now you may think that those horses would be used to gulping the air of last breaths. But when his final lungful broke from him, and the horses pulled it as hot steam through their muzzles, they tore from their hitching posts. A river of black mane and muscle flooded across the plain, raising murders of crows as they thundered through cornfields until they shot straight out of Missouri. Those crows, shaken from their feast by the sprint of death, hung in the sky for 3 full days and nights before returning to earth. Yes, a bullet sounded, and the outlaw Jesse James spread across the floor, both piercing and soft like morning snow. But if the highway robber was truly killed, the way his body was killed, the way only bodies can be killed, we would not have the stories we have now. Before the pistol had cooled, James shuddered into thousands of seeds, winged silver maple. They took to the wind, spread out across the plain, and then downwards into the soil like screws where they rooted, sprouted, stretched skywards into thick-trunked legends. Soon Jesse James, who was once just a thief, became a forest. What Bob Ford, that trigger-happy fool, didn't know is that the quickest way to make a myth is to kill a man. I'm going to let this train pass before I dive into my next poem, which I left on the floor. I think that's fine. Anyway, this is called On Forgetting. When a house grows old, the walls go first. Initially, they only creak during rainstorms, but it is not long before they take to chattering at all hours, even on windless nights. Next, the wallpaper puckers, and plaster shakes itself loose, leaving nails to drag from their studs and drop to the floor. Then the light bulbs burst. Doorknobs refuse to turn. But you do not worry. Not until the windows start to dim. When I met Mike, he handed me a photograph of a house that he built in 1952. Love of my life, that house, he said. A few minutes later, he showed me again. And then a bit after that, did I tell you about the house that I built in 1952? Love of my life, that house. And I say, yes, I remember. You did tell me already about the house and how you loved it. Yes. A thin dust settles on the glass until each pane is gray, so hazed you can barely see through it anymore. Approaching visitors look like impressionist paintings, and the lawn where your children played shakes like a heat mirage, out of focus, shimmering. When your sister comes for dinner, Tuesday night, you watch her draw near through the kitchen window. You see a figure without a face. You cannot remember her name. 2 hours after we met, Mike tucked away his newspaper clippings and told me how his father died. He was at Yale, his girlfriend at Harvard, and he would bicycle every weekend from New Haven to Cambridge. They were going to the theater. Mike draped a coat across his girlfriend's shoulders when the radio spoke of death, and he heard his father's name, hung the coat back on the wall. He drove to his mother's house and couldn't manage to parallel park the car. Pulled back and forth, but couldn't get the damn thing straight. It's not the parts you forget. The name of the woman you married. whether you turned off the stove, the sentence you just spoke. These pieces pour from cracks in your broken pipes, peel in paint curls from the ceiling, and the haze on the windows spreads thick like grease. But the pieces you remember, the burn in your legs as you drop your bike at her dormitory, the last shingle on a home that you built, a bad parking job 60 years ago, so inconsequential. These are your foundations. They will keep you from crumbling, even if each day you feel a little less like a person and more like a monument. And this is my last poem, and thus the last poem of all of these poems. So yeah, this is called Lessons for Hurricane Irene. The sky is thick with waiting. Above our two church steeples lopes the evening's opening act, granite clouds pregnant with flood. Every shop is sold out of batteries and canned soup, while every bathtub is full, the liquid surface of which tremors in the anticipation of thunder. Our bodies, born 78% water, are tuned to predict the coming of rain. A slight swelling beneath the base of the throat, barometric weight on balloons of lung, a shiver driving into shoulder blade. You would think we were made for this. But New England is not built for hurricanes. We know how to handle the wind, the wolves, the howling of solitude, but no one taught us how to be kites. We never learned how to grow gills. Soon, the waters will find us, and we will ask the wind for sails, but hurricanes do not speak our language. We all know each other here. There is no word for stranger in a village like ours, no face without a proper title. But when the thunder-punched clouds drop flood from their split and bloated lips, no one knows what to call it. We do not allow strangers, so we will name it sister. We will open our doors to it. We recognize the chemistry matching between the deluge and that 78% of our blood. The storm speaks to us in drumbeats, growling, pull brave to my breast, and the tempest will not take you. I will gift you the key to beat death. You will not know how to drown. Thank you all so much for coming out today, and thank you everybody for